do a quick one here. Ready? Big's gonna light up.
Done on.
Firescape Academy Inspector Training Video. We're here in Westboro. We got Gino back here, State Inspector. We got obstructions, we got trees growing. Let's do a quick inspection. If I was the inspector looking at this firescape, I'm hired as a firescape inspector. I'll tell you what I found wrong with this firescape. First of all, we got obstructions, we got a lot of rust. We've got this thing deteriorating into the ground. So all these treads can actually, you can actually just rip these treads. If I was to hammer test, I got rust growing in here. If I was to hammer test, this is where inspectors get hurt. They go up, and sometimes this thing will fall from an, look at this, Gene. You see, if you look at that side, you think that thing was gonna give way if an inspector came down unknowingly?
Oh yeah, it's ready to go.
So this is ready to go. This is a loading dock, so this gets used all the time. So now I'll be careful going up because I'm looking for certain things. I got all this grading is supported at the nose, and this grading supported at the back, and this whole rear is all rotted out. So, so now we've got loads of material coming in here, and so imagine some poor kid putting on a couch, a refrigerator,
The actual
and the
angle
rear
on it is gone.
the channel is gone. So if you get underneath there, Viv, and you just poke your nose underneath there, and shoot that thing.
Channel end is completely gone.
Now this is taking couches, refrigerators, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's missing its rail here, and a lot of times this is a chain rail.
That's right. Yeah.
So usually, if any kids get over here playing around, they could fall. So it's usually missing a passing rail. Look at the supports into the ground, how they're rotting, and it's just cemented into the ground as opposed to being sitting on a pillar. That's another problem there. There's some welds here that I can't verify, but as soon as I put a bolt through here, I can verify this weld here by putting a couple of bolts in here. So whenever you get welds, I basically nullify the weld by putting in bolts. Look at all this rust growing in here.
Boy.
Okay?
That really shows you how much it will push out.
Yeah, it'll push out. A quarter inch will go to 1 inch.
Wow.
Now, if I'm going to go up,
Another obstruction with a tree.
yeah, another tree. It's a very popular thing to have trees. A lot of people let vines grow. These vines will take a firescape over in no time. Now this whole firescape is welded. Because it looks like they used to have treads here, and they came in and took the treads out and put in new ones. Do you see these rusty tears coming down?
I do.
That's an indication that whoever welded these, and they usually weld the nose and the back of a piece in the back. The water gets in from above and it starts eating these trees. So even though basically the weld looks good from the outside, there's usually only a quarter of them percent left when you step on it and the weld gives way. Let me see if I can find one that's ready to give on the way up. And that's on this side. If you look up, straight up here, you're going to see quite a bit.
That's it. That's the one that's in.
Okay, so all these rusty tears are indicators that water's coming in from above.
The next couple of beds.
Okay, now as you can see, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the grading up here.
Yeah.
So all this firescape was kind of put together. So all these brackets and all these connectors here. The only way I can guarantee this weld, if it's not a rust build, all I have to do to not weld this, and you can't because of the EPA requirements, you can't weld on firescapes. As soon as I put in 2 structural bolts here, 2 structural bolts there, then I seal this up with silicone. I don't have to verify the welding. This angle needs to be holding. This corner angle needs to be holding. Right. But she's legged to the ground, so that's she's just pulling out because freeze and thaw gets in here. Water gets in here, freeze and thaw keeps pulling, but it's a lag screw into an anchor into the wall. It needs a full paint job because it hasn't seen paint. And it's an all welded firescape, so a lot of times, Gene, see this connection right here? All these connectors to avoid verification process. As soon as I blow some holes through them, I got this stringer welded to this thing. As soon as I put an angle clip in here, put 2 bolts in it, I've eliminated the need for what could be a very good weld. But because I don't want to spend any money x-raying it, it's cheaper to put a bolt through with a clip. So this would here would take a bolt. This would here would take a bolt. Otherwise, verify that weld. So as you start coming down, you can see that the worst part of this firescape is down here. To the point that there's even a dip in the grading because there's some heavy load coming in and out. is this considered a life safety issue in your opinion? Knowing the traffic that comes through here,
Yes.
is somebody going to get hurt with a refrigerator, loading a fridge,
Absolutely. Eventually.
and it's never the owner. It's always Joe, helper. Now, even these treads, as you can see, the day that you can start grabbing steel that is welded and connected, and if you want, you can. You're not supposed to do this with steel. I mean, the only thing fighting me is this tree. It's not the steel anymore. And this is a good point. Even though it's the final tread, look what Russ did to the connector. And that's the stringer, it's all rotted. Okay? So that's the power of Russ left unchecked. Now, the cement issue on the ground, the bulges. Now I'm going to give you an answer right here. What we tell the clients to do, because snow will accumulate here. You clean this up, you're going to find a foundation of some kind. We get a sauna tube, about 12 inches. A piece of sauna tube. Rip it in half. Do this. Sit it on top of the old sauna. You bring it up 6 to 12 inches above grade. Now, this thing is already in the cement. It's already wrong. Because you're not supposed to put steel or wood inside cement. Building code doesn't allow. I'm already too far gone on this one. But if I raise this 8 to 12 inches of cement, sauna wrapped around, I drilled some holes, put a couple of rebars in the old cement to sort of marry the two together. Prior to that, I grabbed roofing tar and I gooped with my hands in a glove. I gooped this whole thing up to 12 inches with tar. Then I wrap it in cement. Then I fill it with about 6 inches so that whenever there's snow, more than 6 inches of snow is what's going to be needed. But it's tarred 12 inches. So that whenever there's snow accumulating down here, it's sitting on top of tar. And then the last thing I put on this, when there's a new piece of cement, sono, I put in a clip that sits on top of the sono. Bolted here and sitting so that as this rots, and this will rot, what's inside will rot away, the new clip on top is the new foot. What's wrong is sitting inside, but I can't do anything about it because they already built it wrong. But there's things you can do with that. Scrape and paint, older than 1978, so EPA renovator's license is required. You need a permit to pull.
Yep.
You can't do any work on this fire escape. No welding allowed. So it's all bolted. So I can secure every one of these treads. I come in here putting in 2 bolts. I drill 2 3/8 holes. Do I have to guarantee these welds anymore? No. As soon as I put in the 2 bolts, I've nullified the weld. I still will try to seal it on top so water doesn't get in there anymore. 50-year silicone is a great thing to have.
Actually, we're actually missing the
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an unsupported piece of grading. There you go. And you can actually.
Yeah, we got work to do here.
Yeah.
We got to
So
start writing.
these are the kind of things, because you get very few of these fire escapes are kind of whipped into a shape like this one. This is kind of brought here, and some guy had pieces, and he created this fire escape system. Most fire escapes, believe it or not, are built to standard, built to code. This every now and then there's one that's shoehorned in, and this is one of those that is kind of shoehorned in. But that's all you have to worry about is, do they know what to look for? Do they know what to expect? How do you deal with a welded fire escape versus a bolted fire escape, and all the codes associated? But if you have a permit that you pull, and you are the one overseeing that to make sure that the vendor who's doing the work is correct, and then there's the confidence test, is just the sign off, meaning if I'm going to oversee this job, the engineer has to oversee. So there's 3 to 5 visits required by an engineer. So that if he's watching this and he's going to be signing, he can't do an initial inspection and a final inspection 6 months from now. He must schedule and get paid for by the owner an initial inspection review. The vendor's starting to do the work. He must show up when the vendor's working, watch the job, make sure it's going according to his standard, come in the middle of the job, come in the 3/4 of the job, and then do a final. Because he's signing off on a certification. They don't do that though. It's never done. It's something that is now what you're looking for. You're looking for oversight. In order for you to deal with either a calculated load test or a live load test, there must be oversight, which is not happening. But in the permit process, you will ask for that. You say, great, so you're getting a fire escape repaired. Who's doing the oversight? What firm is doing the oversight to confirm that I'm either getting a load test at the end of this or I'm getting a calculated load test, which includes oversight.
Well, thank you again.